let's go ahead and start. Folks, my name is Jeremy. I will be your glass blower. I'm going to make a vase for you today. Now inside my furnace here is a big pot called a crucible. In the bottom of that crucible is the same type of glass that we're using in ancient Rome, in the medieval era, throughout the Renaissance, and today. It is the most common glass in the world today. It's also the oldest formula of blown glass. It's called a simple soda lime glass. It's made from soda ash, lime, and silica. That's just burnt plants, crushed seashells, and sand. Mix that all together, you grind it to a fine powder, you melt it down at 2,000 degrees, and you have glass. So I'll take my blowpipe, I will go into the furnace, and it will scoop up the first layer of my glass. Now it's crystal clear, but it looks orange because it's hot. Was it that hot that you ran away?
No, I just wanted to I was sitting sideways.
So, this is crystal clear glass. It only looks orange because it's hot. I'm going to color it by rolling it through chips of glass that have been pre-colored with different minerals. Now, when you first melt your glass formula down, you can add other things to it, and you change the properties of the glass when you do that. If you add iron to the glass, it will be green. If you add silver, it turns yellow. 14-karat gold makes it pink. Manganese for purple. The one you all know, even if you didn't realize that you know it, is cobalt. What color does that make? Blue. Yeah, cobalt blue. So you don't dye the color. It actually changes at a chemical level, at a molecular level. It changes. It's a different combination of materials. That's what the change happens. So once you have the glass at below 2600 degrees, you really can't change it. So I'm adding a couple layers of the jewel tone glass. I'm going to melt that in. Jewel tone is 7 different colors together. It's a little bit of green, 2 different shades of blue, some pink, and 2 different shades of purple, and a little bit of amber, all mixed together. I'm adding 2 layers because as I stretch the glass, the color's going to thin out. I'm only adding 2 layers because if you muddy it up too much with multiple layers, you just can't see anything. So I find that 2 layers is about perfect. Smooth this out on the table. We're going to give this a puff of air, trapping that air inside the pipe. The pressure has to go somewhere. My thumb isn't going to move, but as you can see, the glass does. First, it starts to bulge slightly, and then there it goes. You get a nice bubble called a starting bubble. Now, it's not the right shape to start a vase, so I'm going to give it a swing. Don't worry, I don't drop the pipe often. You should be okay. That is a shape I like. Now, I'm going to let this cool down. I'll go back in the furnace and get more glass on top. I can tell the temperature a few different ways. Just looking at it, the color, it gives me a lot of information. But all these different colors, they all look different colors at different temperatures, different shades at different temperatures. And so, I find the best way to tell is the sound. If I tap on this, that's almost cold enough. There's a little bit of sharpness, but underneath, there's a little flatness to that sound. You're getting 2 shows at once. It's great.
You get your own background music.
That's right. All right, now that's cold enough. If I tap it now, sharper sound, right? That's much colder. That's very, very cold. It's only about 1,000 degrees Fahrenheit. That's cold in a glass shop. It's all relative, right? If it was 2,000 in the furnace and 1,000 out here, that's half the temperature. If it was 80 outside and 40 in your house, you'd be freezing in your house, right? So it's all relative. Now getting more glass on top of the original, and I'm going to reshape and redistribute this 2,000 degree glass with my favorite tool, ordinary paper that has been soaked in water. It's going to allow me to squeeze this into shape. Helps if I hold it the right way. Now the reason this works, the magic trick here, is the steam. That steam is protecting both the glass from the tool and the tool from the glass. But more importantly, it's protecting my hand from the heat. Now anytime you touch glass with a tool, and you leave it out in the open air for too long, you're cooling it down. So reheating it so it all moves the same. And then we're finally going to start shaping the vase that I'm going to make. Inflate the glass. You're not blowing hard, it's like blowing out a candle. I'm going to stretch this out a little more. I'm going to create something called a jack line. It's a constriction in the glass that will allow me to remove the vase from the pipe just a little bit later in this process. Now that bottom is much hotter, so I inflate it, that's where it expands. I'm going to stretch that whole thing longer one more time, inflate it a little bit more, and then we're going to get ready to flatten the bottom. Now, I could just flatten it, but I'd lose this nice curve, and I don't want to do that. So instead of flattening, we're going to hang it up. I'm going to create a pedestal to hold the glass up and put it on display. This will be a foot. It'll also add bottom weight to the piece so that it is heavier, which means it's more useful. All right, a vase that's bottom heavy means you can use a bigger bouquet of flowers. Nothing more useless than an expensive, fancy vase that has a spot about that big on the bottom where it's flat. And you put anything in it, it just tips over. I despise those things. And that seems to be what a lot of artists like to make. I hate it. I like functional work. Flatten this out, spread it out, make it a little wider. You still get that look of that small connection, that small spot where it's flat, but it's much wider than those little tiny spots in the bottom, and it's thick, which means there's weight down there where there otherwise wouldn't be any weight. So you can actually put a dozen roses in this vase without worrying about it falling over. Let's transfer this off of the blowpipe and work on the other end now. For that, I need something called a punty. Now, a punty is another metal rod with some glass on the end. That's this rod right here. This is the glass that makes up the punty. I'm going to shape this glass into a dome about 1/16 of an inch off the end of the pipe. There's a little wiggle room in the shape and the size, but no wiggle room in the temperature. Too hot and it permanently fuses. Too cold and it doesn't stick well enough. So I use a very precise cooling technique to control the temperature. Very, very precise. Not even a chocolate pouch. That's my favorite joke in this show. It's fair. It's been a long day. You're all very hot and tired. I'll forgive you. On tap, it pops right. Now, the top of this vase is the coldest spot. It needs to be the hottest spot. So I'm going to take a little bit of time to warm this up. How long exactly it takes is depends on a lot of different things. The thickness of the glass, the temperature, the firmness, the color you're using, the outside air temperature, all of that matters. So I can't set a timer. I just need to feel when it's ready. And that